everyone. It's great to be here, back where we belong. I think it's our third conference at Lisbon. Good to see old friends and old colleagues as well. And it's also really great, Candice, to see so much digital technology, which is, I guess, why I'm here. You see, I love technology. I know it sounds sad. I'm also an accountant, but I do love technology. And if you're honest with yourselves, the technology we have at home is actually far superior than the technology we use in our workplace. And what I love about technology I have at home is it makes my life far simpler, thank you, and a lot easier. Which is really important because I have 3 young, energetic kids who give me the runaround all the time. So for me, it's really important to have that. As Candy said, my name's Matt. I lead our design and innovation practice in Deloitte. And over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to talk to you about how you can use the digital core and innovation to unlock more value for your organization. Importantly, I'm going to show you some case studies that we've done with a couple of clients, which hopefully will give you some insight into the benefit that you as shared services leaders could also achieve. I'm also acutely aware that I'm between yourselves, Candice's clothes, maybe another outfit change before tonight, and also the bar. So with that, let me get on with it. So, and Deloitte almost stole my thunder just then about the digital core. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the concept of the digital core, but let me try to unravel it a little bit. For me, it's the backbone of the operations of the organization. So everything from finance, HR, sales, all the way through to manufacturing and supply chain. And actually, if you get this right, you protect your organization by giving yourselves the agility and the ability to evolve, and therefore make yourselves more sustainable with the challenges that are thrown at us, things like the pandemic, things like economic turmoil. And what's also important around the digital core is the amount of data that flows through your core ERP solution. Data that you can leverage to drive insights, to help you make decisions, to help drive the business. What the digital core also starts to show us is actually where you have sticking points in your processes, because it isn't constrained by functional silos. It actually goes end to end and starts to show you some of the things that you can change. And one of the case studies, and hopefully my demos, if they work, a bit of a risk in a live demo, but let's see what happens. Hopefully you'll be able to see some of that where we integrate different parts of the organization to the benefit of shared services. And if you apply this in the right areas, you can unlock significant value for your organization. Not just tangible financial value, but also value around the employee experience and also the customer experience, which ultimately is what we're all here for. But what actually is driving the digital core? Well, one of the first drivers for this is around the cloud. The cloud provides us faster, more secure, accessible platforms, making it easier for our businesses to operate. The second piece is around clean data. Really important that you're able to get the right data structures in place to collect that data, both structured data and unstructured data. And every day, we are generating more and more data. And it's what we do with that that drives the ability to make insightful business decisions. Thirdly, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with here, we all want robust processes. Processes that we can trust, processes that stand the test of time. If you think back to my previous slide, I talked about the digital core being end-to-end, and that's exactly what happens here. People want to drive to end-to-end processes and drive that robustness and that governance through. Fourthly, it's about an integrated architecture. The ability to plug and play with different best-of-breed applications to sit on top of your core ERP system, all based on having a clean digital core. And lastly, but my absolute favorite, it's about the experience. An experience that is intuitive, an experience that is easy. Quick question. How many of you enjoyed your training on how to use Amazon? Okay, my exact point. Nobody taught you how to use Amazon. So why do we make our business solutions quite complicated and require training courses? Now to the fun part, the bit that actually, as I was lining up to come here, I was thinking it might have been safer to bring my 3-year-old daughter on stage with me rather than try to do a live demo, but we're going to see how we get on. Going to set the scene. There's 2 demos to do, one on my iPad, one on my iPhone. I'll give you a bit of context of the client. I'll give you a bit of background as to the process that they had before, and then I will take you through, hopefully, fingers crossed, everything working, take you through a couple of demos. The first one isn't actually related to shared services, but I think we can all draw parallels when I talk through it. And some of you may recognize the branding when we get to the next page. So it's a UK food and beverage retailer, over 1,700 outlets on the high street. You know, a reasonable turnover given what they sell, mainly sandwiches, pastries, drinks, etc. Their constraints were within each retail store, they made their own sandwiches. They produced their own goods to go out on the shop floor. So what they did is when they made let's say a chicken club, someone needed to go into their ERP and say, for this chicken club, we've used X amount of tomatoes, X amount of chicken, mayonnaise, etc. And then go into a separate screen to go, I now have 50 chicken clubs to go on sale, and then put it into inventory. So huge amount of admin, huge amount of repetitive tasks. In fact, on the next screen, I think we've got these slides. So this is what these screens look like. These aren't the exact screens, but these are the modern version in SAP of what they look like. Huge amount of data entry, very prone to manual error, quite repetitive, quite mundane. If you're thinking about you've just sat there and you've made a load of sandwiches, and now you need to pull that information up. And then the bottom right screen was, after entering that information on the top left, they then had to go into the bottom right screen, a different part of SAP, to say, I've now made 50 and they're available for sale. Not the best use of time. Right, so now this is where we see if my technology is going to work. Right, perfect, almost seamless. So what we have here, so this is the dashboard that's used for this organization. And you can see I can scroll up and down. Hopefully, yep, the lag's not too much. Scroll up and down. So what you see in front of you is actually a combination of those last 2 screens. So rather than going in to the sausage rolls and going into one screen, entering all the ingredients, going to the second screen to create the inventory, and then going back in and doing that for tuna crunch, going back in and doing that for the char grilled chicken, etc. Actually, I have it all on this one portal that sits over the top. And what I can do from here, so let's say sausage rolls. Who doesn't love a sausage roll? One of my personal favorites. For those of you from the UK, you probably recognize the fact it's sausage rolls and the colors are working out who I'm talking about here. But actually, I'm going to say I didn't make 25 of those. I actually made 10. Perfect. And the reason for that is actually one of my team felt sick. Maybe they were eating sausage rolls as they were making them, but they started to feel a bit unwell. And so I'm going to mark that as staff sickness. Then I'm going to go to tuna crunch. I'm going to do something similar. On this one, actually, I'm not going to make any because we missed the delivery. And therefore, I'm starting, as well as making the job easier for the person doing the task, I'm actually starting to gather more insights and data than I ever had before. Because if you think about this, if I now got this insight and I see continually I'm getting a missed delivery, that tells me I've got a problem with my supplier. That was information that they never had before. And now, you know, I had a busy morning, but not that busy, so I'm going to mark the next 4 things as complete. And I'm going to go down, and I'm going to just click Confirm Complete. And there we go. And that's it. As simple as that. So rather than going in and out of multiple screens, a very simple portal dashboard over the top made my life a lot easier and allowed me to do what I do best, which is out in the front of the shop, actually selling sandwiches and sausage rolls. You can then, you know, those what is currently blue up there at the moment will stay there until a manager's gone in and approved it and said yes. So a manager may want to understand why there was a kind of an under production. but they can then do that and it will clear off and the rest of the things stay on the portal. One demo down, all good so far. So what are, oops, gone one to, sorry, okay. I might be designing innovation, but clearly not good with technology when it's a clicker. So key takeaways from this. The first one, those SAP screens you saw were optimized. There was nothing else you could do with the technology. So you were constrained by your ERP. But that doesn't mean you are constrained in how you optimize your process. Because if you took a design-led thinking approach to it, you think, well, what actually are we trying to achieve here? And so able to take a step back and create a nice portal that was, one, intuitive, easy. You know, I dare say I could have got one of you to come up here and help me do that, a bit like Amazon, but actually take the pain out of the work. The second takeaway was we could only do that by actually talking to the workforce. If we didn't talk to the people in those jobs, we would have never come up with that idea. So as much as I think me and my team are absolutely fantastic, we are nothing without actually talking to the workers and getting that piece right. And the final takeaway on this one is around automation. So we've had many years of doing RPA in shared services. This isn't RPA. This is about using the digital core in a different way to be able to collate information and drive the data back into the system for you. Second example, a luxury fashion retailer, a global luxury fashion retailer. This actually does relate to shared services. It relates to retail shared services. Again, a British business, but a global brand, multiple channel brand, over 400 locations worldwide. They had, you can see some challenges there, but let me, I guess, Candice, actually, I'm going to pick on you again, sorry. So let me give you an example of what used to happen in this retailer. So Candice is in the market for a new outfit. So Candice walks into Regent Street store and says, I want that outfit. And like, great, we've got it in your size, but not your color. But actually, we have one in Manchester, so we can get it for you. You just need to go home, and we will phone you up when it comes in. So the sales assistant from Regent Street will phone up Manchester, say, can I have it? Yes, you can have it. We'll send it to you. That sales assistant would create a set of data information that would be sent over to their shared service center. And then when it's received into Regent Street, that sales assistant would log that in, another set of information that would go to shared services. Shared services would receive that information and would have to do a 10-step process in their ERP to make that happen. And the sales assistant, who, I don't know how many are familiar with retail, but at this end of the market, have a base salary and then earn money through commission. Sales assistant would phone Candice up about 6 days later and go, great news, your dress is in. And Candice was like, my event was last night, I got it from somewhere else, thank you very much. So they lost the revenue, and they created a huge admin burden overhead. So we went back again to the drawing board and spoke to the teams, and this time on my phone, let's see if this works. There we go. Right, so we created this app for this brand. So we can scroll up and down, you can see products, and actually in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a little icon for clients. So I'm going to click on that here. And on here, I'm able to then search. There's a bit of a lag. Maybe technology has failed me again. Let me click on clients again. Right, so let me explain what's going to happen, and then maybe it will catch up and we go from there. But I'll click on clients, and it will give me the option to then select a named client. And this is, there we go, it's finally here. Right, so here we go. Oh, it's caught up. Right, so the client who's come in is called Jason, so I'm going to select Jason Smith. And then when I select that, good, we're back on track. So when we can see here, we can see all the transactions Jason's done before. Now, if I go down, on Jason's wish list is a nice little Burberry cashmere jumper. Sandy, you're in the market for one of these, right? £230. And if I click on that cashmere jumper, I can basically scroll down. See, this is why I did well after the first one, right? I should have ditched it after the first one and not done the second demo. But if I scroll down, I can now see the store I'm in, it doesn't exist, it's not in stock, but they actually do have one in Rodeo Drive. So I'm now going to click on Rodeo Drive, and I'm going to try to add it to my basket. Now, what would normally happen here, I've changed it for today, but what would normally happen is the sales assistant in Rodeo Drive would get a little notification on their mobile phone, and they would say, yes, you can have that stock. Okay, and that's their approval. We've auto-approved it for the purpose of today. So I'm now just going to add that to my basket, and like any other website, you will see in the top, in the little basket, I've got the little red icon, and if I click on that, there is my cashmere jumper that I would like to buy, but doesn't exist in the store. So I then click checkout, and you'll see my home address. It's not my actual home address, so don't try and hunt me down. But you'll see an address in there, and I can change that address to be anything I want. It could be my home address, my work address. It could be a place of interest or a present for somebody else. And I have delivery options. So free, if I need it for next day, I can do that. And I have different options of how to pay. But I'm happy with everything's in there. I'm going to say place order, get a nice little QR code. And there we go. And I'll then scan that QR code at the point of sale system, and I'll do that, and it takes a transaction. So the example of Candice earlier was the customer went away, purchased it for someone else, terrible customer experience, probably wouldn't go back to the brand again, awful employee experience who did a lot of work but didn't get paid for doing that work because they didn't get their commission, and we created a 10-step process in shared services, don't need this anymore, so put it down, it's 10-step process of shared services, that as long as the two sets of information from two different stores reconciled was a straightforward thing to do. The beauty of this, that 10-step process completely disappeared, all automated off the back of this app and the transaction. So if we think about what's happened there, a really happy customer, a really motivated employee to do the right thing, a increase in revenue because we've actually been able to sell the item, an item that when Candice came into the shop, she wasn't able to buy. And finally, we remove cost from the equation by removing an admin burden out of shared services. Metrics that I think would tick every box of most organizations. So the three takeaways that I have here, one is, don't just look within shared services when you're thinking about improvements. Look upstream about other things you can do that can automate what you do in shared services. Similar to the last one, think about the experience. In this instance, we didn't look at shared services. We looked at the customer experience and the employee experience, and by getting those two things right, the shared services piece just fell out of the box, which was fantastic for us. And the third one is, don't be afraid to innovate. You know, what I've just shown you on here, probably 95% of us in this audience have done transactions like that. It's not that difficult to do. So please don't be scared to innovate. Final thing from me, if I come to this side. So first of all, thank you for listening to me. Thank you to, I've been sat on that side both as a client and also at Deloitte. But thank you for listening to me. I'm around the rest of today. I'm happy. I think there's maybe going to be some questions now, but I'm happy to take questions this evening. You'll probably find me propping the bar up somewhere, so please come and ask me some questions. Also, Chris Choi, one of my really talented team. So Chris was actually responsible for that app you saw at the end just there. He's here with me somewhere. So if you can't find me, talk to Chris. One other shout out, I don't know how many of you have seen the dynamic finance stand out there, but if you go over there, there's some Oculus headset and there's a metaverse that my team helped create over there. So if you want to go and experience a metaverse and understand that, go and have the experience of that and then come and chat to me. And then with that, I think if there's some questions, Candice, I'm happy to take some.
I believe there are. Thank you, Matt. Thanks very much, Matt. I probably have more questions than the audience do, but here's one from James. How do we ensure the human experience is at the forefront of any decision on new technology?
So remember what I said at the start about I love technology? For answer to that question, don't think about technology. It's the last thing you should think about, okay? The first thing you should be thinking about is the user experience that you're trying to create. And really understanding that, doing proper user research before you get into any technology conversation. The second point I will say to that, and you can test this with Chris tonight if you like, if any of you find him, but we live by a simple mantra in my team, which is fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Too many people look at technology as a simple answer to it, but you have to understand and love the problem first, and then the technology solution becomes easier.
Thank you. Makes complete sense. Another one, yeah. How long on average does it take to create these innovative solutions? So I guess you got ones here that you can bring to life.
So we run hackathons. I don't know how many of you are familiar with hackathons, but we run 48-hour hackathons, or we participate in them. The last one we did in February, which we won, we created a consumer metaverse and a Uber network for drones, and had drones flying around as part of the display all in 48 hours. Oh. But remember, they're prototypes, so it's very quick to build and do iterative design and build, but then you have to do extensive testing afterwards to really get it right. And it's one of the things that we also live by, which is we would rather fail fast and learn from it very quickly than to just keep going and think we've got the perfect design documented and then build it and it's wrong. So, it depends on the designs, but we can do stuff very quickly, but some of them take a bit longer.
And what about change adoption?
Well, it's interesting, actually, because like the examples you saw, we make it really easy for the users. And so the adoption of this stuff is really, really good. We also try to focus on the 10% of processes that really make an impact in the organization, and then people really buy into that. But, to date, touching wood, but to date we have not had any challenges with adoption. But if you think about it, if we're making it intuitive and easy, then people will warm to it quite easily.
And I love this one. So one last question here from Andrew. How can shared services build partnerships with upstream teams to streamline their operations?
That's a really good question. Actually, if we go back to the last demo I did, we talked to lots of organizations who want to do something similar, but actually they don't have a tangible business case around it. So they have a lot of the intangibles and the engagement with customers and the employee experience, but they can't pin a number on it. And actually where shared services can sometimes come into this is showing them how they can remove effort out of shared services that can contribute to that number. And what we've found is organizations have got that right. They've become a lot closer between their back office and their front office teams to really think about how they evolve the processes.
Fantastic. Well, Matt, Thank you so much. I look forward to having a drink with you tonight.
Thank you.
Cool.